welcome to episode 38 of the Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast. My name is Lisa, and I'm coming to you from Long Island, New York, and it is sweater weather. I finally have my What Am I Wearing segment back, I'm pretty sure, on a regular basis now, because it is fall, the leaves are falling, it is a little bit of a chill in the air, and this is my favorite. This is my favorite. So, this episode should be coming out on Halloween, so happy Halloween. I can't wait to see everybody's pictures of their kiddos all dressed up. All right, let's just get into it. I have kind of a lot to talk about today. Lots of in-progress projects and lots of natural dyeing to catch you guys up on. So, pretty full episode. Not kind of sure how I'm going to squeeze it all in today, but let's do our best. All right, so what am I wearing? Those of you who have been with me for this past almost full year, you guys, next week is an exciting episode. Next week's episode is going to be my 1 year anniversary of Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think we should probably do a giveaway of some kind to celebrate. So I'm gonna think on that this week. But, all right, so this is my worsted boxy. And I knit this last year. When did I knit it? Maybe February or March, something like that. Something like midwinter, I think. And so I love how this came out. This has turned out to be one of my most favorite sweaters. So let me stand up for a second here. So yeah, the fit is just perfect. I'm pretty sure that I knit a size medium, I think. The size for this sweater, from what I remember, like for the body, is pretty much all the same for like the whole first handful of sizes. And so I didn't have to choose a size until I wanted to figure out the sleeve circumference at the very end. And so I'm pretty sure that I went with the medium just to have a little bit more room. But it's a box. You basically knit a box. So from here down, or it's bottom up. And then there's some fun shoulder things and like these little itty bitty sleeves. And I just love the fall. So you can see my natural shape is here. And then all of this extra fabric. The sweater has such a beautiful drape. It's just, I'm surprised actually at the amount of drape that this sweater has, being that it's a worsted weight yarn. Usually I feel like worsted weight sweaters are much thicker feeling, but this one just feels really drapey and loose and comfortable. It's like I could probably knit 15,000 of these sweaters in all kinds of different colors and wear nothing but worsted boxies all the time and be perfectly happy, because it's the most comfortable sweater that I own. Because of the sleeve length, it doesn't keep me the warmest, and because it's so loose, it doesn't necessarily keep me as warm as some other sweaters. But this like transition weather, it's perfect. And I could layer this on top of, like t-shirts or tanks or something to just get a couple added layers underneath. But yeah, so the yarn I used for this, I used Malabriga Rios in the color Va. So it's like this beautiful mix of greens. I love it. I don't usually choose these colors. This was out of my normal wheelhouse for what I just normally choose. So I just love it though. I think these colors are just gorgeous for this time of year, fall, winter, and I am thrilled with how this came out. I also want to point out my cicada earrings. I got these over the summer with Owen. I think they're Jajibo. I got them in a museum gift shop. And so this one is like a cicada. I'll get a little closer there. It's so cute. And then the other one is an exoskeleton of the cicada. So, which I had to get these when I saw them for the last year and a half maybe. Owen has been collecting. We have a whole jar full of these cicada exoskeletons in his bedroom. I'm not even afraid to pick them up anymore. At first I was totally grossed out and creeped out, but now I'm just like, oh cool, it's another exoskeleton. Who am I? What has this boy turned me into? I'm not afraid of bugs anymore, you guys. It's the weirdest thing. I used to be one of those like stereotypical girly girls when it came to bugs. Not anymore. So, all right, so that is my worsted boxy by Joji Locatelli, and I'm so glad it's sweater weather again. Oh, I should show you my socks too. Let me see. I've got these socks on today. I finally started wearing hand knit socks again. This is Quarry, Q-U-A-E-R-E or something, fibers in the color Peacock, and this was like old stash. I knit those like so many years ago. They're my favorites. The colors are finally starting to kind of fade a little bit because I wear them so often, but yeah, so I'm just happy. Hand knit socks, hand knit sweaters. This is my weather. Okay, so let's see, I don't have any finished objects to share with you guys today. I have an almost finished object. This will be finished by the time you guys are watching this video, because this is a Gryffindor house scarf from, oh my gosh, I need to go get my other book. Hang on a second. From Harry Potter Knitting Magic. Let me go grab, I got the new book in. Hang on a second. Okay, I am back. So, yeah, all right. Tanis Gray, she has 2 Harry Potter Knitting Magic books. So let me talk about that first. I'm not going to do an acquisition section because this is the only thing I've got. But this second book, Harry Potter Knitting Magic, More Patterns from Hogwarts and Beyond, came in on Tuesday. This was a pre-order, and my husband and Owen got it for me for my birthday, which was at the beginning of September, and so I finally just got it in. So I've got both of these books now, and so that's really exciting. Yeah, the second one has also a lot of patterns from Fantastic Beasts. I have not seen Fantastic Beasts, but I know about it. But so a lot of these patterns I'm not familiar with. I would say it's kind of maybe a 40-60 split. Maybe 40% of the patterns are Fantastic Beasts, and then the rest are Harry Potter. So there's a lot of fun patterns. Owen is already eyeing this Gryffindor hat, and of course these little dolls. This is something from Fantastic Beasts. I love these mittens. This is Hedwig. Yeah, so that came in. I do have links to both books in the description of my video, so that you guys can go order those if you're interested. I'll also say I'm going to continue the Harry Potter Knitalong. Probably like we'll end the official like 2021 and then start a new one in January, maybe, because the new book came out. We're just going to keep it going because I think now that this new book is out, that'll be really exciting. But so the scarf, where is it? Here we go. So the Hogwarts house scarves are those, and that is in this first book. And so I will insert a picture. I won't have Owen's official Halloween pictures in time for this episode because I'll be editing it and getting it ready before Halloween. But he did have, today he went to school and it was costume day at school. So he is in like a partial costume. They are not allowed to have props or anything. So he doesn't have his wand and he doesn't have Hedwig. And I did not send him with his scarf yet. I still have to finish his scarf. But this thing is thick. I should have knit not so wide. I cast on for the adult version. It's my one complaint about these books is that they are not kid size friendly for the most part. Anyway, I'll have to see about the new book. But the thickness, you can see how thick, how wide this scarf is. So what I'm gonna do for Owen, so what I did was, let's see, I think you're supposed to knit 10 repeats of this stripe pattern. and I ran out of my red yarn after 9 repeats. So I shortened it just a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it in half on him and just have him, you know, so it'll be, and that way he can grow into it a little bit. So I mean, it's pretty long on me still without wrapping it around. If I wrap it around once, you know, I think on him, I think there's gonna be plenty of scarf. And so I envision him wearing this when we go out trick-or-treating, and he is spending much more time outdoors. That way this will keep him nice and warm. But I'll insert a picture here of his little costume. So adorable. Oh my gosh, so cute. He's got some better looking Harry Potter glasses that are just more of like a metal frame, and we can't find them. They are buried in his room somewhere. So basically what I have left to do on this scarf, which is just a knit tube, so it is double thick, is I have to weave in the ends, and then there is a little bit of fringe to close up both ends of the scarf. So I have blocked this already, and it is dry, and so I just have that little bit of finishing work to do on that, and he will have this ready for trick-or-treating on Halloween. And I'm not really sure, he wants Hedwig to be part of his costume. Probably I'm just gonna end up carrying Hedwig or something, because I didn't figure out anything special to do. We're just, this is us every year. It's like we get so far with the costume, and then we're just like, okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, so anyway, he looks adorable. This was a lot of knitting, and I would say on Monday I was only 2/3 of the way done with the scarf on Monday morning, and I sat all day Monday and all night, and I knit on this thing until I went to bed at like 1 in the morning or something to get the knitting on this finished. Because let's face it, it's a beautiful looking scarf. It's not the most exciting knitting project, especially when it's like huge. So I'm glad that this is done. I love the way it looks. I don't have that much yarn left. I knit it out of Plymouth Encore, and I had 2 skeins of the yellow. So I have a full skein of the yellow still, and then I have this much left. So the gold and the red. So I'm hoping that this is going to be enough to do the fringe on both ends. If it is not, I will probably incorporate some gold for the fringe as well. I have seen people do that. It looks just as nice. So not exactly 1000% true to pattern if I do that, but yeah, I'm gonna need to order some more of the red yarn anyway to make him a hat and mittens and all of the other things. So, but I need to have this done for Halloween. So it's just gonna be what it is. Okay, so that is my almost finished object. Not yet finished. Let me see. You guys, I did not bring it out here, but my Spring Thing shawl is next up on my blocking mats. I didn't bring it out here because I have not blocked it yet, which means I have not done anything with it. You guys talked me into blocking it. Thank you. You guys all kind of gave me that smack on the side of the head and said, Lisa, block it. And the reason that you guys all gave me for blocking the Spring Thing shawl, I will like insert a picture here, is that you thought that when I put the border on it, it might cinch it up a little bit. And you guys are probably right. So I'll just go ahead and block it. Now that this thing's off the blocking mats, that will be next to go on, and then I'll get that blocked and I'll get the border on that thing, and hopefully I will have that finished soon. All right, next up is my husband's birthday gift, which is not going to be done for his birthday because his birthday is November 1st, which when you guys are watching this will be tomorrow, or today if you're watching it the day after. So, all right, this is kind of cool though in the state that it is in. So I was on Instagram one day and saw that Knit Circus was advertising this really beautiful yarn, and it was designed, inspired by the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. So he is a huge Charlie Brown fan. Last year he got Charlie Brown socks for his birthday. If I got them done, it might have been Christmas, but I was definitely knitting on them for his birthday. And so I'm keeping with the theme of Charlie Brown themed yarns or gifts. And I've got this beautiful Great Pumpkin yarn. This is a Blueface Luster yarn from Knit Circus. I don't have the label here with me because I misplaced it, but I decided to cast him on a hat. I asked him whether he would rather have socks or if he would rather have a hat, and he said, get me a hat, I'll probably get more use out of a hat. So I decided to knit him the Musselburgh hat, and because I've been knitting on this and my big Shawlography project, which I am so far behind on, I have not spent that much time on this. But it has grown, and it kind of looks like maybe like a really big yarmulke, I think, kind of. Not on my head, it's a little big for that, but yeah, so this is going to be, I am knitting him the extra large size hat, and I feel like the camera is blowing it out right now. But I thought it also kind of looked like a nice round pumpkin right now, which is very festive. You know, it's based on a pumpkin yarn, and so it's kind of just looks like a nice little pumpkin. So yeah, I am at the point with this now. So this is a pattern by Isolde Teague, and so many people have knit this hat because Crazy Sock Lady started knitting it. Kay knit it for like herself and her husband and her boys. She has knit so many. And so like this pattern has really caught on, and it is now very popular. And so I thought I'll get on the Musselburgh, or the Musselburgh, I think is how it's actually pronounced, Musselburgh, bandwagon here. And I am knitting my husband a hat. So what you do is for every single pattern, you cast on in the middle, and you knit them around, and you do a series of increases. I actually ripped out what I had done the last time I showed this to you because I missed the part in the pattern where she said if you're using a sock yarn to use a few needle sizes higher, bigger than you would normally do for socks. I missed that part, and so I had originally cast on with a size 1 needle. And so when I had knit like a good inch of fabric, she says check what your gauge is. And she gives you like 6 different choices of gauge to figure out then your pattern, what size you're gonna knit based on what your gauge is. And my gauge was smaller than everything that she had. And so I went back, I was like, okay, why is mine not matching up? And it was because that was gonna be way too small for the sizes that she had provided. So I hadn't had that much knitting going on yet. I ripped it out, I started it again just the other night, and I cast on with a size 3 needle, and I have a gauge of 7 stitches to an inch. And so now I measured my husband's head, which is quite large, and we decided to go, I think he was like 25.5 inch head circumference. And so I could have either gone to like a large was a size either 24, 25, or an extra large was a 26. So he just said just go with the extra large. So that's what I'm doing. And so yeah, so I've got this much done, and I'm at the point now where you knit around and around and around, and it's just going to grow. It's going to grow this way into a very long tube. It's kind of hard to show, but it's basically like you're doing a toe-up sock. And now I'm going to be, which I've never done, but I imagine that this is how you start a toe-up sock. And then I'm going to knit until it's like probably about this long, and then you're going to do like basically you're going to end it the same way that you started. So it's going to be like one continuous tube, and then you put half of it inside the other half, and it's a double thick layered hat. So even though it's fingering weight, it should be quite warm when all is said and done, because it'll be like wearing two hats at once. So yeah, I love this yarn. I love the speckles. I love the little specks of green that are in there especially. But it's just, it is so autumnal. I think these colors are beautiful. So I don't think I have ever knit, I've spun 100% BFL fiber before, but I don't think I've ever knit with BFL fiber, like 100% BFL. And it's really nice. So I love the fabric. I love the drape. I love the colors. And this is now, because I had finished the scarf, I had run out of my mindless knitting. So now this is now at the point where I am going to be just able to mindlessly knit for like 20 inches or something until it is long enough for me to start decreasing. So it will not be ready for his birthday, but I'll be enjoying knitting on it throughout his birthday month. So he's not concerned about it. Owen's Halloween knitting was higher priority. So that is, I think, all of the, no, I don't have, it's not all the knitting before Shawlography. I've got one more thing that I can show you before we go into Shawlography. So I don't even think that I said we were going into whips. I don't think I said that. We're in whips, in case that wasn't clear. All right, guys, so finally I have started a swatch. I'm actually considering my swatch finished because I am on gauge and I don't think row gauge matters. So when I have a chance, hopefully this week, I will be actually casting this on. But if you guys remember, maybe a month ago, I showed you guys a yarn that I had gotten from Wonderland Yarn and Fibers, and it's one of their new color burst yarn colors. So this yarn was provided to me from Wonderland Yarns because I'm a brand ambassador for them. And I wound it up, and this is what it looks like in the cake. I think it might be called like Splashing in Puddles, something like that. I do not have the label with me, I don't think, do I? No, I don't have the label with me right now. But it is one of their new fall colors. They have a whole color burst yarn, and that's where like 3/4 of the skein is like a solid color, and then just the top has this splash of color. And then so you wind it up, and you just, it's like mostly a solid or tonal yarn, and then you just get these splashes of the contrast color. And so this, I just wanted to show you guys what my color burst swatch is looking like. And I forgot to do garter stitch on the edges and at the bottom, so it is curling up terribly. So it's really hard because I didn't knit that big a swatch. But can you guys see how that's knitting up? It's so pretty and it's so cool. It's knitting up exactly as I envisioned that it would. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's so hard to show. I'm really struggling, but all right, it's super curling. I think you guys can see well enough to tell what that looks like, right? So the project that I am casting on with this is a pattern by Renee Callahan. It is called The Modernist, and it is a oversized cardigan with kind of skinny sleeves. So it's actually going to be quite similar to this in terms of how much room there is, I think, except it's like cardigan style. I'll put a picture in, and it's got long sleeves. And the construction looks super fun. So I am really eager to cast this on, and I am exactly on stitch count. I am not concerned about how that might or might not change in blocking. It's a superwash yarn. I can kind of just pin it exactly to the dimensions that it should be once it is all said and done. So if it grows a little bit, it's supposed to be really oversized anyway. So the only thing is I'm trying to decide between what size to knit. Usually I knit a size medium. She's got 5 sizes only, so I can't exactly tell how size inclusive it is because there's so much positive ease. I think that there's close to 20 inches of positive ease in this pattern. So she has a 36-inch bust and she knit the large size. And I'm probably gonna knit a large for this because that's really similar to my bust, I think. I think I'm like a 36. So usually I knit size medium, but usually I also knit the third size. And in this case, the third size is a large. So that's my only hesitation in casting on at this point is which size do I choose? How oversized do I want this to be? So I'm thinking that I'll probably just cast on for the size large. There's not even like a whole lot of projects completed in Ravelry for me to kind of see like what people selected and everything. So I'm kind of on my own a bit figuring out how much positive ease I'm going to be comfortable with. And I think the more the better, usually, is more flattering. So I'd rather have more positive ease than less. So I'm probably just gonna cast on for the large. But if I didn't already stick a picture in so you can see the project I'm talking about, I will do that now. So this is The Modernist, a pattern by Renee Callahan. And so yeah, I'm really excited to cast that on. And it is now time to go into Shawlography. Now, I will put a spoiler up, but I am so far behind, you guys. Today is Friday. Clue 4 was released today. I'm not even ready to cast on for Clue 3. I am almost done with Clue 2. Clue 2 is so much knitting. So basically, you do not have to worry about seeing anything from Clue 3. This would be a Clue 2 spoiler only, because that's what I'm still working on. We're almost there, but not quite. So yeah, if you are even further behind than I am and do not want to see Clue 2, I will be putting a timestamp up so you'll know where to skip ahead to for my spinning segment. I've got a little bit of spinning to share with you, and then I've got a whole ton of natural dyeing. So yeah, let's go into Shawlography, timestamp going up so you know where to skip ahead. And I hope that I see you guys in Shawlography. If not, I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so welcome to the Shawlography Clue 2 portion of today's podcast. I have my Sweet Georgia gradient lined up in color order for you guys to see over here. Now I do. This is my color order. Okay, so color A was supposed to be kind of like your brightest color. So I started with Peacock, and then my color B, oh, what color is this called? Jewel. My color B, I went on the opposite end, which was like here in the bag, but I picked my next brightest one, which is Jewel. So these are my two brightest out of the Jewel tone colors. So these are basically solid, slightly tonal, but mostly solid colors. And I love the shawl. I love my color choices. I initially wasn't sure how it was gonna work since these three are kind of so similar, but it's just turning out so gorgeous. So then my color C is like a bluish gradient, kind of has a little bit, not really the teal in there, but different colors of blue. This one is my color D. This one, my label has jumped ship. I cannot remember the colorway name. But this one is called Velvet Elvis. And that is kind of like a mix between this teal and this next one here, which is, I think, aubergine. And this one is like a mix of purple tonal gradient type color. So this is my color palette for Shawlography. And this was a full-size skein Party of 5 pack that I bought pre-pandemic from Sweet Georgia Yarns. With no plans, I had no idea what it was going to become, and this is turning out to be the most perfect project. All right, now I have to be careful how I hold this up because my needles are no longer, see, I'm losing stitches here at the end. My needles are no longer sufficiently long enough for my shawl. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of scrunch the middle part here. I'm gonna hold it like this for a minute, and then I'm gonna show you what I am up to. So, all right, let me turn it around. So I am on the very last section of Clue 2. So this last section, so you do like, I think last time I showed you and we were up to these purple I-cord loops. So Clue 2 started over here with that really cool slip stitch section that alternated colors underneath, and then this like welt section is what I think he calls it, which was kind of scary because we had to like really drop down stitches to make those welts happen, and I've never done drop stitches on purpose before. It's kind of fun, but like the initial couple of times was super scary. Yeah, so you have to drop stitches on purpose to form these welts. It's like a big section of like 10 rows or something of just basically stockinette stitch, and then there's a slip stitch, and so what happens is like you slip the stitch and then you like drop the next stitch down to the beginning of that section, and then you do that like every slip stitch, and then it makes like folds in that stockinette stitch section. So that was cool. And then after that, there was so much knitting in this section. After that were these triangles, which I thought look really, really cool. And then there are baubles, right? So that's where we are so far. And then I have finished one of, oops, I don't want to lose these stitches. I have finished this side now. So now I think I'm gonna fold this in half so that you guys can kind of see where this is going. All right, so now we have this kind of folded in half. So on one side of the center, we have this, I'm using these two colors, which is colors D and E, and we're doing like these kind of garter row stripes, and they're short rows. So it builds out from the center. So there's this center portion, which is so far remaining unworked. And I guess that's where like Clue 3 is going to start, I guess, is connecting these together. So there's like this part, and then I only cast on this part this morning. Not that far into it. Oh my goodness, I'm trying not to lose my stitches. So I've only gotten like this far past the baubles. So I have, as you can see, quite a ways to go in this slip stitch section here. But can I just tell you, so I'm on the very last step of Clue 2 at least, but I had to focus on the scarf. That was so much knitting also, so much knitting. And then I was doing so much dyeing this week too that I actually just didn't, it looks like I did really do a ton of knitting this week. It's just all been between those same two projects for the most part. But look at how beautiful this is. I am so glad that I chose a gradient. These colors, I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew that I loved all of these colors together. And I am so thrilled. You really, because of the gradient and the way the colors are, like the texture of each section really stands out. So I guess we can review a little bit. If you guys didn't see last week, Just trying to do this so it doesn't come off my needles. So the cast on was here, and then the very first section after that was like a series of wedges alternating between color B and like every other color. So this is gonna really open up in blocking. And then there was like this textured section here. So mine kind of has, there we go, it kind of has like a gradient underneath the slip stitches there. And then we had these I-cord loops. And so that was where clue 1 left off. And so everything else has been clue 2. And it's so much knitting because this shawl is now like really growing. So there's that texture, which just looks beautiful. And then these welts. I mean, I love having both of these textures. And then this next texture, it's so fun. And because I'm doing this in a gradient of my favorite colors, like I can really see myself wearing this. I know like a lot of people are like, this is getting kind of crazy. I don't know if I'm gonna wear this or if it's just gonna be kind of like a piece of art on my wall. But the process of knitting it's probably the most fun knit that I've ever done. Super engaging. Like you don't really want to put it down once you start. Only reason I am a full week behind is because of said Halloween project scarf there. Otherwise, I would have been knitting on this and only this. So instead of starting clue 4 today, I will be starting, well, I'll be finishing clue 2. Oh no, we're getting off of the, all right, I really need to get some stoppers at the end of my thing and or get some longer needles. But yeah, so there's so much interest. I love it. I'm so thrilled. So that is and now we're stuck on my hairband. Okay. Ah! So yeah, let's see. I put this on my cat the other day. So I'll insert a picture of my cat Samson wearing Shawlography. And he looks stunning in it. Now this is inside out. There's really, because my needles are too short, there's really no way I can just like hold this up and show it to you guys. I just can't do it. But I mean, it's kind of how we're looking so far up to the welty, bobbly section in the middle there. It's so fun. I love this. It is so fun. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that is the status of Shawlography. We are almost done with clue 2. Clue 3 looks, I did peek at it and it does look like significantly less knitting than clue 2. So I do not think that there is any chance of me finishing the entire clue 3 and 4 when it officially ends. I don't know exactly when it officially ends, probably next week, right? But I imagine I will have no problem whipping through clue 3 and at least getting started on clue 4. So we'll see. Yeah, it's a super fun project and I love the colors so much. Okay, so Shawlography, all the knitting stuff is finished. We are now going to move over to spinning. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of spinning to catch you guys up on. I started spinning a second fiber, finally. So I've got 2 drop spinning projects in progress. The first one is Sweet Georgia fibers that has been in my stash probably for a year or maybe a little bit more. The color is Falling Leaves and it is alpaca merino silk. So 50% alpaca, 30% merino wool, 20% silk. And that is this gorgeous fiber here. So there's very long a color gradient here. So it goes kind of like that, like it does like burnt orange to a gold to a purple to a blue, and then it goes backwards, purple, gold, burnt orange with kind of like a, maybe like a camely color in between that orange and gold for that transition. So it's kind of like this repeat that kind of goes to the blue and then goes backwards and then goes forwards again. So, oh, the colors are so pretty. These fibers, I am finding a little bit tricky for me to spin. I said that already, but I think it's because I chose my heaviest drop spindle for this one. And so this is my Louet. It's like a beginner drop spindle. It's not the first one I had. It's probably the last one I've gotten. So it's my heaviest one though. And I am probably, whoops, I'm trying to spin it probably nice and thin like I usually do. You know, so I'm spinning it about this thin. But what I'm finding is that for some reason, the weight of that spindle and the staple length of these fibers, it's just, I'm breaking the yarn a lot. So we've got lots of honking going. I don't think you guys can even hear that, but I've been pretty consistent in my spinning, and I'm just gonna have to keep going and suffer through it because I want to use the same spindle so that my yarn overall is consistent. I would say I've got probably you know, my single ply here is probably like fingering weight. So it's going to be, when it's plied together, it'll be maybe like a DK, hopefully. I don't really know. So, but the colors are so pretty. So I finally got like my first ball. Maybe you can see more of the colors on this side. It's a little messier over there. The colors are super pretty. The fiber is gorgeous. I'm just a little bit struggling to spin it. So I have the first of 4 of these bumps. So I split it lengthwise into 4 identical sections. And so it's just so pretty. So this is my Falling Leaves fiber by Sweet Georgia. And then I finally, put this here, doesn't blow away. I finally started spinning my sweater weather fiber. And this is, you guys, if you're watching this today on Halloween, pause this right now, go over to Wonderland Yarns, I think it's frabjousfibers.com website. Frabjous Fibers is the fiber portion of Wonderland Yarns. This color is available through Halloween. And this podcast today, if you're watching it on day 1, it is Halloween today. And so this is the last day you can get this colorway. And it's so gorgeous. This is a Polworth silk blend. Do I have the label? Yeah. It is, let's see, organic Polworth silk top. I don't think it has the breakdown. No, it doesn't have the breakdown. No, it does. Here it is. It's an 80-20. So it is 80%. So the organically raised Polworth, a cross between Merino and Lincoln, 80% of that, and then 20% of the silk in here. So this, oh my gosh. I loved the 100% Polworth that I spun, and so I wanted to try their Polworth silk blend. This is also just a dream to spin up. So these colors, I also divided this into 4 sections. So this kind of does the same thing. We go from like gray into gold, into orange, into a berry, into a plum, and then back out of that gradient the other way. These colors are amazing. I am in love. I'm in love with both colors of both fibers, but this has the purple in it and the berry, and those are my favorites. And all right, so this is what I'm spinning. These fibers match my spindle perfectly. It is a perfect match to my spindle. Do you guys see that? This was meant to be. This was a project that is meant to be. So I am still in my very first bump, which is kind of falling apart. And look at that. Oh my gosh. I am in love with this. It's so pretty. And that's what the back of my spindle looks like. I do not remember who made my spindle. I got it at Maryland Sheep and Fiber a few years ago. But yeah, the colors, this all just matches so perfectly. But you can even see like the little bits of, you can see the little shiny bits of silk in there. And it's just, it's spinning up to be a dream. And so I'm not that far into this. I'm probably actually halfway through this first bump out of the 4. So I've got quite a bit to go. But this is spinning like a dream. This one's not breaking on me and dropping constantly. So yeah, it's just that heavier spindle. I'm used to spinning so fine now. And they say that too, like once you get the hang of spinning thin, spinning fine, it's really hard to go back the other way. And so I'm trying to get myself, when I'm on my heavier spindle, to like just like spin a little bit more fibers at once so that it's not as thin, so that I don't drop it as much. So we'll see. But yeah, so that's my spinning progress. I love this. I love this so much. It is so fun. Love it. Okay, I'm gonna put this stuff away and we are going to head into natural dyeing. I have quite a bit to show you guys. Oh my goodness, that's like pretty much all I've been doing this past week is natural dyeing, like constantly. So let's go hop on into natural dyeing. Oh boy. All right, you guys, natural dyeing. I have done so much. I have so much to show you guys. All right, I'm gonna see if I can even remember everything that I have dyed, but can you guys see this gorgeous palette going on over here? It's so pretty. The oranges, the tans, the yellows, the golds, the greens, the gray. I'm so happy. I am so happy. So let me quickly, I don't actually have a lot of time left before I have to go teach. But I really wanted to show you guys what I've done. All right, so let's see. All of this over here, I dyed, whoops, and I'm dropping it. Here we go. All right, I don't know how well these are gonna show up on the video. As always, the lighting, always, I don't know, these lighter colors seem to get kind of washed out a little bit. But this is all dyed with birch. So it's so beautiful. It's kind of hard to see, but it has a little bit of an orange creamsicle feel to it, but very, very pale. So I would say it's a little bit more on the peachy side than it is on the brown side. But I don't think it screams like peach, but I also don't think it screams brown. I think it's just, oh my goodness. Let me see, I've got 2 different bases here. So let me divide those up. I think that, here we go. Those are all one base. These are all one base. This one is that base. All right. Yeah, so I've got, I think I have 8, yeah, I've got 8 skeins. I've got 8 skeins of birch here. I've got, I guess, were these 2 in the first dye bath? Yeah, first dye bath. So this is on my base, which is 50% recycled wool and 50% tencel. So this is a new base that I decided to try. I did not use a mordant with any of these birch yarns because birch has so many natural tannins in them. It wouldn't hurt to use a mordant. It might help get the colors a little bit more saturated, but I wanted to see like what birch did just on its own for this first go with it. And so this is a beautiful base. I love this base. It has a little bit of shine to it. And it's 50% recycled wool and 50% tencel, which is a plant-based fiber. So yeah, it's got this lovely sheen to it. These 2 were in the first dye bath. So you can see it's kind of a little bit of a peachy creamsicle. And then the second dye bath, so this is the same base. It was just a little bit paler. And then this, was this the same base too? Yeah. And then this third dye bath is almost yellowish. It's so pale that it's like almost yellow, but it's not. It definitely is just a paler version. So this would be the gradient of birch from darkest, mid, and lightest. And I will try to take some pictures. I don't know if I'll have time today, but I will take some pictures soon too and try to insert them. But it's just gorgeous. I love it so much. So yeah, so I've got 2 of the first dye bath and then 2 more on that base. And then this was, I think I only had, that was the second dye bath. Which one was my first? This one was the first dye bath. And then I had 2 in the middle dye bath. So this one was the first dye bath, and this is on my sock yarn base, which is 80% wool, extra fine merino wool, and 20% recycled nylon. So these, and then these 2 are the second dye bath. So this is the gradient on the sock base, and this is the third dye bath. So that is my birch yarns on the sock yarn. So pretty. So yeah, I've got 2 of that middle one and then 1 lighter one. So those are kind of on the peachy brown side, maybe. I just think they're gorgeous. I can't wait to see what these look like on camera. To me, they look a little bit washed out. So we'll see. But so that's all the birch yarn that I did. And then most everything else is mushrooms with one pokeberry fail that turned out gorgeous, just not at all what it was supposed to be. So let's start out with these here. This is the same mushroom on 2 different bases. So this is sock yarn, and this is that plant-based wool mix, the wool tencel blend, 50-50 blend is this one, which I just think the sheen on this is so gorgeous. So the 2 darker ones on the different bases were in the first dye bath together, and then the 2 lighter ones with the different bases were in the first after bath together. And so this was a dye bath that I made using a mushroom called Ganoderma applanatum, which is the Latin word for artist's conch, artist bracket. That is a really cool shelf mushroom. So like if this is a tree, these will grow like out of the side of like a tree, like stump, like a dead one, a partial tree stump or something. So you'll get like these brackets. And they're called artist conch because on the underside is a white porous surface, and when you etch into it, it stains brown. So artists will carve really intricate designs into these mushrooms. I'll see if I can find a couple of pictures of a really cool etching into the artist conch so that you can see what I am talking about. But that's also like a really easy way to identify that particular mushroom, is that if you can carve into the underside and it leaves a brown stain and an etching, then you know you've got artist bracket. So this one, all right, so now I got these mixed up. So let's look at the difference on the 2 bases in the first dye bath. So the sock yarn turned out more of a brownish gold, and this one turned out more of a yellowish gold. And for some reason, I just love how this one looks. This is the tencel blend, the wool tencel blend. And there's just such a sheen to it. And this gold, to me, it just is glorious. And then this one is really nice too, but I don't know. Something about the gold on this particular base just is calling to me. So that was the first dye bath on one of each base, the sock yarn on top, the blend with the plant-based yarn on the bottom. And then the second dye bath, the first after bath, so this is the sock yarn on the right and the tencel blend on the left. So it's much paler, but these colors together, and it's all fingering weight. So I mean, like, I guess these 4 could go together into a project. But if you wanted to separate them by yarn base, the wool tencel blend is here, and then the sock yarn is there. So this was Ganoderma applanatum, artist bracket mushroom. So I just thought that those were just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, and now I have all of my yarns that are not yet dry, so I have not yet skeined them up. Oh my gosh, they are so beautiful. Let's start with my pokeberry fail. So that one, these two here. So I still have these on hangers here. I think I put, yeah, there's three skeins here, and then there's 2 skeins, I think 2, yeah. So I've got 5 skeins total of pokeberry. This was supposed to be a hot pink. This is not hot pink. Yeah, it was supposed to be like a bright fuchsia magenta colored pink. And I know what I did. My dye bath was looking gorgeous, but I should really get a thermometer, because you're supposed to keep it at a very low temperature, and I kind of got distracted and walked away from the stove for a little bit too long, and when I came back, my dye bath was just too hot, and you know, it was fine. It wasn't boiling for that long. The yarn is perfect, fine. Nothing happened to the yarn. It's not damaged at all. But what happens is when you overheat the pokeberry dye bath, it goes brown. But I have to say that I've never gotten this like deep burnt orange rust color before from anything. And the 3 of us, my husband and my son and I, we love it. We think it is spectacular. Not at all what I was going for, but it's perfect for fall, honestly. And then, so I had 3, so this is all the sock yarn. I had to mordant this in vinegar, which is not something, which you usually use vinegar when you are dyeing with acid dyes, but not when you're using natural dyes, unless you're working with a pH sensitive yarn and want to modify the color a little bit. You can do that with vinegar to make it more acidic. But generally, vinegar is not something that you use to mordant your fibers when you're working with natural dyes. But in the case of pokeberries, the pokeberry dye is quite color fast, and it is fugitive, what they call a fugitive color. So the color is very likely to fade much more quickly than other naturally dyed materials. So you'll see, like, anytime that you have, I mean, pokeberries are toxic. There is a way of cooking the leaves at a certain point where you can boil those toxins out, and they are edible if you know what you're doing. But generally, pokeberries are for the birds, and the berries are not something that people ever eat. So, but when you have like food-based natural colors, that's why when you try to dye with like red cabbage or black beans, those are also very fugitive colors, meaning that they are very subject to fading when they encounter sunlight. So if you're going to be knitting some project with colors that are fugitive, you want to try to do projects that are not going to have a lot of exposure to the sunlight. So there is a way that has been found to make the pokeberry dye much more color fast, and that is a very specific way of mordanting the yarn and then add with vinegar, and then adding vinegar to the dye bath. And people have had no problems with the color fading when using this method. The only thing you have to watch out for, as I got distracted, I was doing too many things, is not letting your dye bath get too hot and the color changed from fuchsia to brown. But you know what? It's a beautiful color. It's just not the one I was going for, and I'm actually really, really happy with it. I think it's gonna look beautiful combined with a lot of the other like mushroom dyed yarns, like over here. I have such an autumnal palette going on over here. So let me get the next batch. Okay. Now I'm trying to remember what mushroom I used for these yarns here. I have it written down and now I cannot remember. But, okay, actually I have a couple of things going on here. Oh, I have three skeins. All right, I'm going to need to look up what mushroom I did these with because I can't remember. This first one here is different. This one, I got a Fool's Dyer's Polypore. So I was so excited. I went out with Owen and I thought that I found my first Dyer's Polypore mushroom, which gives so much dye. And then I got it home and my dye bath didn't really do much. And it turns out that there's a fake. And what we found was the fake. So it looks like Dyer's Polypore, but then you get it home and you get like hardly anything. So what I ended up with was just kind of like this pale yellow, and it's a beautiful color. But when you find Dyer's Polypore, you get like beautiful range of mustards and oranges and just really deep saturated colors. And this was not that. So that's what this one is. And I don't know why I'm struggling right now to remember what this beautiful gold color is. I have to go look through my notes again. So, but this was also dyed with some kind of mushroom. And again, it's like another kind of straw colored gold. And it's very, oh, I know what it is. This was it was not a Cortinaris, it was a Gymnopolis, that's what it was. But what was it? Gymnopolis saponaeus. Gymnopolis saponaeus. I'll insert a picture. If I have a picture, I'll insert a picture. These names, yeah, that's why I can't remember them, because they're just like these scientific names. Gymnopolis saponaeus is this one. And this one is Fool's Dyer's Polypore, which is some kind of, I think it's like a Onia tremetis or tremolo. Onia tremolo, maybe? Not really sure. But so fake Dyer's Polypore and then Gymnopolis saponaeus. That's this one. I need to write that down before I forget. Anyway, a beautiful range of straw, kind of a bit similar to my goldenrod yarns, but from mushrooms. And I just love these. This one was a bit of a bummer just because, not the color of being a bummer, but just the bummer of realizing that what I had found was not at all Dyer's Polypore. Okay, so that's these three. And so with the oranges over there, and then these yellows, oh my goodness. And then this one, I'm gonna hold this one up next. Oops. I'm gonna hold this one up next to these. This one is also a yellow, and I'm gonna have to look up the name again. This one was a really cool mushroom that I don't remember the name of. I know exactly, I can picture it in my head, and I have a really cute picture of Owen standing next to it, so I'll insert that for you. And I'll insert the name of it once I remember what it is. But this one was a fun mushroom. I think it, Paleothorus, I don't know. Foliota. I think it's a type of Foliota. Yeah, we're gonna say it's Foliota something. It was a golden Foliota. You'll see. And so this one, I had to leave it in the dye bath for quite a long time. I don't think that I had quite the proportion of fungi to fiber that I should have, but it got a nice buttery yellow. So these you can see, these are more like straw golden, and then this one is really kind of like butter. So You know, I don't know how well these are showing up on camera, but those are my range of yellows. All right, so I'm gonna put those back down. Second here. Okay, and then I'm really, really excited about these. So, all right, last time I showed you guys my mushroom dyed yarns. Remember that beautiful blue-greenish gradient that I had? And I said I'm keeping it for myself because they're kind of hard to find, and I didn't know if I could ever replicate those colors again. So I found, though, like that weekend, Owen and I went back out to the same place where we found those, and we found a whole ton of those. They're a Knitalong mushroom. The variety of Knitalong, no idea, but I just know that it's a tooth fungi and it is some kind of Knitalong. And I had a ton of them, and so I threw them all in the dye bath and got this beautiful olive green. Oh my goodness. So this is so interesting because with the mushrooms that grow in the ground, there's also, when you put them in the dye bath, there's also so much dirt. Okay, so I don't wash them, like I get as much of the dirt and soil stuff off of the mushrooms as I can, but I don't wash them because I don't want to risk like getting any of the color. I don't know. I don't wash them. I hear not to wash them, so I just don't. But as you wash your fiber, the dirt comes out. And so when you pull this out of the dye bath, it looked almost black, which it is so hard to get like deep saturated colors from any natural material without modifying them with iron, right? So I was just amazed. And then as this has dried, the green has revealed itself. So I have 3 skeins here, and one of them, you know, there's three of these. One of them I put in slightly after the first 2 because I realized I had such a saturated dye bath that I could probably go ahead and dye 3 fibers at once. But look at that green. So I got 2 more dye baths out of it. I only have one of them out here because I only just rinsed the 3rd one. The 3rd one is very light and probably a bit more tannish. But so there's that deep one, and then this is, what is this, 3 more, 4 more? 1, 2, 3. This is 4 more skeins. I think I put them in 2 separate times. I don't even know. But this is like the first after bath. I mean, I had so many mushrooms in there. I was able to get so much color. And so you can definitely see it is still green, but it's definitely, I guess they call this like a greenish brown. And I would say that this one has so much green. And now that we're getting less green, you start to see, just try to get the hanger back there. You start to see more of the brown coming through. And then so the last one that I don't have to show you is definitely much more on this like tannish side. I'm gonna say it's probably gonna end up being like a tan with a hint of a green tint to it. So, oh my gosh, so many lovely shades. So that's what I've got going. Oops. Sorry, my low power just came on. That's what I've got going on. So those are all the naturally dyed yarns I have to share with you today. My low battery warning just came on, and I do have to go teach in a minute here. So that is all that I have time for today, but I do have a question to ask you guys. So you guys know I am stocking up, I'm dyeing a lot of yarns, and I'm gonna put together my first Etsy shop soon. Once I figure out how I want to divvy everything up. I might still, with this second batch of things, I might take a couple of skeins and play with iron a little bit to see what other combinations of colors I can get. So I haven't quite figured out whether I'm done, or if I'm gonna modify a few skeins. But we're getting pretty close to having enough yarn to offer a first shop update for you guys. And I think I'm also going to be ordering, I still have a lot of natural dye material stocked up, so I'm going to be ordering another batch of yarn this weekend as well. I was kind of wondering though, rather than only offering full skeins of yarn for you guys, what are your thoughts if I were to take, like, so these are 100 gram skeins, right? So because I only have 1 or 2, right, of each dye bath of a certain things, especially I think a lot of these mushroom dyed yarns would be beautiful together. And so I was thinking I could make several mini skein sets, and I could divide an 100 gram skein into like 5 different 20 gram mini skeins and put together maybe like 100 grams total, but of 5 different colors and like a gradient. And so I was thinking of maybe having a lot of things be full-size skeins, but maybe also taking some skeins of some beautiful colors that I don't have more than 1 or 2 of, and incorporating them into like a mini skein set, so that maybe instead of just one person getting the skein, there could be like 5 different skeins all divided into 5 skeins, and I could create like 5 mini skein sets out of some of those colors. So I didn't know what you guys thought about that as an idea. I think that these would look beautiful in color work. So I might do that. I might offer some just completely full skeins, but I also might split a whole bunch of them into mini skein sets. So I think once I'm done with everything and I can lay everything out and put things together in color groups and maybe create some mini skein gradients or color families for you guys, I thought that might be a fun way to get all of the colors into more people's hands while I'm just starting up and only have such a limited amount of yarn to offer up for sale. So let me know what you guys think about mini skein sets as an option. And as always, thank you guys a ton for watching. I can't believe next week's episode is going to be 1 year anniversary of Stop, Drop, and Knit. So, oh my gosh, I've got more than 2,100 subscribers right now, and I am so excited that this channel is growing, and so thankful that you guys are all here and continue to come spend your time with me. So as always, have an amazing weekend, an amazing Halloween, an amazing going into November. It's almost daylight savings. Yeah, have an amazing everything, and I can't wait to see you guys next week for our 1 year celebration. Okay, bye.